If you or anyone around you are affected by the subjects of today's podcast, you can reach out to get help, advice, or support from our charity partners, Women's Aid, at womensaid.org.uk, or the Yorkshire-based organisation IDAS at idas.org.uk. You can also find these links and reach out to us directly via our website, takebackthebeat.co.uk, or email us at takebackthebeattour@gmail.com. That's takebackthebeattour@gmail.com.
Hello!
Hi!
Hello! Welcome to Take
Back the Beat.
Voice notes. Echo.
How the devil are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Why do we sound drunk?
I know.
We're not.
The problem is, behind the curtain, listener, we literally spend, every time we're like, right, we're going to record the podcast at 2 o'clock. So we get on at 2 o'clock, and it's now 3 o'clock because we've just chatted.
On the dot, 3
shite.
o'clock.
Yeah, for an hour. And then we get on the podcast, and we both turn into, little hyper children.
Yeah.
But
that just proves that we have a genuine friendship. So there you go.
Yeah, that's
We're
just,
not just
the way it is.
Yeah, we don't just jump on and go, okay, let's go. We have to chat shit for an hour, literally, and then we go, oh, why did we do this Zoom? Oh, that's why.
Oh, yeah. And they're like, bye, babe, have a good day. No, podcast, babe, podcast.
We have to record.
So, on a scale of... Again, sorry, listeners, if you follow my Instagram, you'll know this, but I've just had this weird obsession with the Australian accent the past, week.
More than that. It's got to be more. Because you've sent me voice notes in it, and then I came to London last week and you were still doing it. I'm actually quite jealous, though, because I can't do it.
You can say one word.
I can say one word, and I'm going to do it in a minute for everyone, and it's going to blow you out of the water.
Everyone's going to be like, oh, this is an Australian podcast. They've got an Australian guest today.
Nat's really good at it, and I can't do it at all.
So not. Literally, my flatmate is Australian, and I was doing it to her at Trimbo, and she was like, yeah, it's okay. Go on, do your word. You ready, guys?
I feel under pressure
drum
now.
roll.
Why am I nervous? I could just be like, cut this shit out. Are you ready?
Go on.
Are you ready? Water.
So on a scale of 1 to a whole jar of Biscoff, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy because your girl has got 8 days off.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Woohoo!
Party
So
time.
I am very happy. Yes, I am actually going to a festival. So my dad turns 60 next week.
Big up, Ian. Big up.
The bigger 60. And he wanted to go to a festival because that's my dad. For his 50th, he went to Ibiza. That's just my dad. Do you know what I mean?
Your dad kills me.
So for his 60th, obviously we're all going to a festival.
Obviously.
It's like a 4-day thing. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't camped since I was 15. It's not a thing I do. You know, when you used to tell your parents you were stopping at your friend's house.
Yeah,
you'd
you go
end
camp
up
in a field. Yeah.
With 10 other people,
With
and then
Strongbow and WKD. Yeah.
Yeah, and get up at 5 a.m. Why did we do this? We're gonna die. So I haven't done it since then. So I'm a little bit nervous. That sounds really weird, but I just am because I don't know. There's showers and things there. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But my brain's am I gonna end up checking into a hotel? Because I don't know. I don't know.
You saw me. I camped for my mate's wedding last weekend.
Yeah.
And literally for 2 days after, I couldn't move my head to the left because the beds were so uncomfortable. And I was like, I'm old.
Yeah. Well, I'm really lucky because my friend, my yes, I have other friends, listeners, other than that. And because they've got obviously a family, so when we first came out of the pandemic and you could only really go on holiday in your own country, they bought this big massive. They describe it as a blow up thing. You just press a button.
Oh,
and you have to plug it in, and it blows up. It's a 2-bedroom thing with a space in the middle, a living area.
Okay.
She's got camp beds and everything. So I was can I steal that?
That sounds good.
So I'm hoping that it's not going to be like too horrific for me, because I think they went all out, because they went for like 2 weeks. They did a whole thing.
Okay.
So it's not going to be too bad.
No.
So I'm excited, but I'm nervous because I just don't know. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be very drunk, which I can't wait for.
Also very hungover.
Very hungover. And then I'm probably going to cry for 2 days when I get back, because that's just the order of things, isn't it?
That is what we do, yeah.
But I'm very excited, and it's
It'll
celebrating.
be really lovely.
Yeah, and it's music. A lot of rock music, which me and my dad, as you know, if you listen, we love our rock music.
Yes.
So I'm very, very excited, if I'm honest. But I've got to go. I'm going tomorrow, and since I've had a date, like I finished work a couple of days ago, I've been up every morning at like 7 a.m. because I had a photo shoot on Sunday. Monday. Thank you. I love that you know my schedule better than me.
I know.
Yeah, and then I had work to do yesterday. But I've been awake every day at like 7 a.m.
That's gross.
So I'm tired, but I also have 8 days off to rest.
Yes,
so
she does.
It's very exciting. So on the Biscoff,
Are you going to take Biscoff to the campsite?
I think I'm going to need the Biscoff for when I get back.
Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah.
So when I'm like 2 jars deep, crying, going, why did I drink? I feel weird. Da, da, da.
Yeah,
that's going to be when I need it.
So next week when I ask you how you are, you're going to be like, I'm crying in a Biscoff tin.
Probably, yeah. So I'm good. I'm excited. I'm going away. On a scale of 1 to a whole jar of Biscoff, why is my mum ringing me? Sorry, Pam. Not right now.
Pam?
Pam. How are you? How the devil are you? You went to Reading Fest.
I did.
How was that?
It's really, because I'm really dramatic now. So my favourite band in the whole entire world is the 1975. This is quite I am verging on obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, good for you.
I
Good for you.
love them. I'm literally like obsessed.
Breathe. Okay, breathe.
And like during lockdown for my 30th, Aiden bought me tickets to go to Germany and go see them on their European tour. And then you know that thing COVID that just fucked up life. Yeah, cool.
Never heard of it. But
Never heard of it. So they cancelled their European tour. So he was always like, I owe you tickets to go to 1975 when they tour again. And I was like, well, you won't need to pay for it because I'll be supporting them, so it's fine.
So obviously.
And then a couple of weeks ago, my mum texted me. She's like, have you seen the 1975 are headlining Reading Fest? And I was like, instantly begging everyone to sell me their ticket. And so we got 2 tickets. I, as a kid, went to Reading Festival every year. Like, I've seen Slayer there. I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers. I saw Bullet for My Valentine.
Nice.
The old school rock chick in me was literally living her best. So I was buzzing to go. And at the same time, really fucking paranoid because I haven't been to a festival where I'm not performing about 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, I very much go do the show, hang around, watch a few artists, and then leave
go.
when I start to feel uncomfortable because it's a lot of people. And Reading Festival is 100,000 people capacity.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm really proud of myself actually because I really panicked up until the day. And like when we were getting ready, like going full out Felicia on the Glitter Life, I was quite nervous and like, I don't know if I'm okay with this. We got there and I just instantly went back into like 16-year-old Nat, just living her best life.
Yeah.
It was really great. It was amazing. And like Halsey did this whole big like women's rights set and I was here for it. And then we saw the 1975 and they were insane. Like, I'm not his voice, babe.
Amazing.
They played their brand new song, which is out next Friday, and I was just living my best life. Like, my feet were covered in blisters. I was in absolute agony the next day.
You did send me a video of you and Aiden, so I have that now to hold against you. So.
Oh,
I was like, look at my mum and dad having fun.
I mean, everyone there was like 16, and I was like, wow, when did I get old? So I had Biscoff on reserve.
But you were fine.
But I was absolutely fine. Like, honestly, really proud of myself. I had a mental breakdown the next day, which you know about.
Yeah.
Because do you know what it is? I'm not sleeping again. And I said this to my therapist a few weeks ago, like, one of my big signs that I'm going to have a mental breakdown is not sleeping. Yeah. As soon as I'm like, I'm struggling to sleep, I'm preempting it. And I'd had a little bit of a PTSD flare up last week when like I saw some guys at a garage and I just got a bit freaked out about it. And it was late at night, la la la. And so yeah, on Monday I kind of just had a little breakdown because I was just like, wow, I'm 32. Is my career I want it to be? What am I doing? Fuck, me and Aiden are moving and I can't afford a fucking wardrobe. This is not what I wanted. And like, just had this little breakdown, and I know it's because I'm tired as well and anxiety flare up. And then literally I've always sent you like a 20-minute voice note like, driving back to London, having like going through all the stages of like a full mental breakdown, having a cry, having a good old chat with myself, and then pulling my big girl pants up and being like, well, we just do it again. So that was a
it's true.
roller coaster.
We just gotta keep going. That's it.
Yeah, and it was that whole thing of like me and Ada had a chat, and I was just like, do I just get a regular job? What do I do with my life? Like, this is not what I want. I don't want to be struggling for money. I don't want to be constantly seeking validation and la la la. Like, if you'd have told 16-year-old me that at 32 I was in the crowd for Reading Festival not playing it, it's not what I wanted. And actually everyone's path is different, and we have to just keep going and keep doing what makes us happy. And yeah, so
it is, isn't it? We've spoke about this, and it's trying to find that happy medium of like what is success to you, because
and not success to the world.
See, like my brain goes, well, a year ago I hadn't released my EP, and a year later I've not only released it, but I've toured it in some incredible venues with incredible artists, including yourself. So that's a win. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Is it sometimes frustrating because I think me and you are like obviously with this, like even Take Back the Beat isn't even a year old, and the things that we've achieved for, to help other people and to bring awareness is great. But I think that's, you and I are so like full steam ahead. Like, now. And we've talked about this before, haven't we? That we've also got to like go, right, well, what does success mean to you? Does it mean 3 million followers? Like, who cares? Or does it mean creating art or creating a platform where we can help people and just, being an artist? Like a penniless artist, like
struggling, hungry.
Obviously, I mean, don't get me wrong. Would I want do you say fans anymore? Is that weird? I don't know. Like people who enjoy you as an artist, but I hate saying followers. I hate that word.
I know.
I fucking
feels
hate
so
that
fake,
word.
doesn't it?
Yeah. But so it's just we've got to kind of slow down, haven't we? And go, right, okay, well, we had this plan and it didn't go exactly where and when, because when you're 15 you make these stupid things up and you're like, oh, 30's old, and I'm like, no I want to slap that little 15-year-old. I'm like, no bitch, we're not old, we're in our prime.
It's so true. It really is true. And it's just kind of going, actually, what makes me happy, and in this moment this is this, and like, it's absolutely fine. And so
and
I
to
do
just
feel better.
be in the moment, like, look what we're doing, look what you're doing, look what so it's just being in the moment and trying not to look at other people. But it's really difficult because you never look at people who, I don't know how to word this because I don't want to sound, so like a year ago I hadn't like I've just said, you never look at people who you think aren't as far along as you, and that's, do you know what I mean? I don't mean like far along, but I mean in this business or this, in your career, you look at people who are like way a fucking head of you and go, why aren't I there? I'm good, I'm this, I'm that. But it's like everybody has that journey. Like, this is why I love Billy Lockett, because he posted something the other day and he was like, he said about he's released like 72 songs in the past whatever, and he was like, all of them flopped until this one. He was like, so please don't get this like false illusion that I just came out of blah blah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
because it does seem that way, because you only ever hear of one, like stuff like Lewis Capaldi. He had songs that flopped before it took off, and you're like, you don't hear about that stuff. You don't hear about like.
You just hear about this one song and this one person that's come out of nowhere, and you're like, no, they've been on the exact same journey that we're on now. Trying their damnedest to
crying
make
in a corner constantly.
And it's so difficult putting any form of art out. Because it's your soul. So when it's so like
hard.
You've got one monthly listener, you're like, oh my god, and that's me, fuck's sake. Like, you know,
That's
Do you
my
know
mum.
what I mean? Fuck. And then you're texting your family like, you all better fucking listen.
I need at
My
least
listens
5.
are going down. Can you, all right, I know it's been out nearly a year, but come on, guys.
Go on. No, it's so true.
It's tough, but, you know, we've got to keep at it.
And
And
it is,
supporting
like,
each other. I think supporting each other is
100%,
the
and it is
main thing.
like reminding ourselves how lucky we are that like we are healthy. Lucky we
Yeah.
are that yes, we're about to go into a fucking recession, but we can have a roof over our heads, and we do have an amazing family, and it's just so hard, isn't it, to bring yourself back to that. So yeah,
that's why we, between us both, you usually have a breakdown, and then I'm like, right, we got this. We have this conversation that we've obviously just had.
You have a breakdown,
and then I have a breakdown, which I'm guessing will be when I come back from this festival.
Yes, I'm guessing probably in about 10 days' time. I don't know.
But I know that you understand me, and I know that I understand you. And it's not just like somebody going, oh, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Like we understand the depth of where your feelings and emotions can go in this business, because it is one of, I mean, on a personal level, because obviously I'm not saving lives. I'm not, you know, rescuing people from burning buildings. But on an esteem and an emotional and a personal level, it is one of the hardest industries to put yourself in. And like, to be put on a platform, to be constantly ridiculed and told that you're shit, or you're not good enough, or you're too fat, and you're too this, and your songs aren't this enough, and it's just like, why would you do that to yourself? But also, we're artists, we're creatives. It's what you do, also, no matter what form.
When the amount of people I speak to when we talk about Take Back the Beat, and as an artist, it's kind of like a thing that we joke about it and we laugh about it, but most artists have some sort of mental health issues or some form of anxiety or imposter syndrome. And then add in trauma or PTSD or anything else. And it's like the amount of people who've said to me they've listened to our podcast and gone, how are you guys still doing this? And like after a mirror, especially when we did like a bit of a chat about what we'd been through and whatever, a lot of people were like, that's a lot to deal with. And like, we had someone say, like, it's really brave what you guys are doing, because not only are you releasing your souls, you're also releasing everything and every insecurity and every moment. And what's quite triggering in our industry is constantly, like you said, being told you're not good enough, you're not this enough, you're not that enough. And these are things we've already been told. These are all things we've already had to deal with personally, let alone professionally. And it's so difficult with everything to keep going, and sometimes you do have to be a bit ignorance is bliss. And like with music, I used to be very much like, oh, can you listen to my song and see what you think? Whereas now I'm like, this song's a fucking banger. If you don't like it, just don't tell me. Like, because you have to be like, it's opening yourself up.
And people are so, you know, we've got people around us that are so keen to try and tell us, you're not doing this right, and why aren't you doing this, and you should be doing this, that's why you haven't made it yet. And you're like, who the hell are you? Like, excuse me, sir. Like, well, one, do you even know where I want to be? I might be exactly where I want to be, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
So, thank you for your opinions, but if they're not, you know...
Keep them to
they're not positive, I don't want to know.
I mean, this whole spiel, it may seem off topic to you guys, but the reason we're kind of talking a lot about creativity and the effects it has on mental health as well as ourselves is our guest today. Her name is Mary McBain. I met her because I was an extra in a short film she did, and I got asked by a friend who was he was starring in it, and did he do? No, Sarah Day directed it. He was starring in it and like helping kind of produce it and get it on board. And he basically messaged me and said, it's about this. It's quite up your street. This was years and years ago. And I was like, this sounds so exciting. And I got on board, and this is genuinely something I refer to quite a lot in my life, this short film that she's done. It's called Spaghetti. We're going to talk about it quite a bit, hopefully, in this interview. But she is a actress, a writer. She currently lives in LA. Yeah, we're really excited to get to talk to her about why Spaghetti came about. So, shall we bring in... Oh, that was terrible.
Water.
Oh, fuck that. Shall we bring in Mary?
Let's bring her in.
Okay. Here we go. We have the amazing Mary.
Hello, Mary.
Straight in. Mary's coming to us from LA. How fabulous.
Yeah.
You look very like good morning, like you're already up and about, wearing our PJs, just chilling. Like,
Yeah.
very nice.
It's only 11:30 in the morning here, so we've still got a lot of day left. Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, it's nighttime here. We're ready for bed.
Yeah.
You're chilling. Well, you've got a gig though, Natalie, so you've got
I do.
to sing after this.
I literally was telling Farah, I've literally got a gig at like 11 p.m. and I've got to be there at like 9, and I was like, oh gosh, okay.
No.
Bless you.
I know, but I'm getting old, so I'm just like, oh, that's like past my bedtime.
Yeah.
But isn't it
Too
funny?
late.
It's not that long ago that I would be literally getting ready to go out at 10:30, having some
Yeah.
Lamborghini, getting dressed, ready to head out.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
so not the case.
Yeah.
literally.
Now I'm like, I
It's
want to
like-
be home for 10:30. Like, that's
Yeah.
my goal.
Yes.
Oh, it's like even stuff like I went and saw Cabaret in the West End last night, and it starts at 7:30, and I literally was like, oh, it doesn't finish till like 10:30. Oh, that's quite late. And I was like, oh my god, that's the time that we'd usually be like going out. I was like, oh, you've got old now. It
When does
happened.
that
We
start? It's really sudden. It's like very
Yeah.
sudden.
There's
It
no
is.
warning.
No, it just
There's
happens. And you find yourself then like moaning about it, and you're like, oh, it's happened. I'm old. It's happened
I'm
now.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
But the reason, so Mary, I wanted you to come on because we actually met doing your short film,
Yes.
which
Yes.
I talk about and reference a lot in my life, probably more than I talk about Friends and reference like Friends quotes.
Wow.
Because it was just so brilliant. So yeah, can you tell the audience a little bit about Spaghetti and where it came from and the whole kind of concept of its brilliance?
Well, thank you for that introduction. I'm really glad that it made an impact. It's so funny. I still
Loved it.
thank you. It was the most special. I will never, ever, ever forget. Even just the making of it, you know, that we did it
Yeah.
with a fully female crew. And I mean, that was just so
Yeah.
special. And randomly filmed, the first day of filming was Valentine's Day. So it was like,
Oh,
Yeah.
we brought all 23 women, I think it was, worked on it on Valentine's Day, all processing all different kinds of things. And it was like, yeah, it was really special. I guess, wind it back, I had an experience with somebody out here that was not good. I actually wrote about it, like properly wrote about the full experience last week. I haven't, and I've never told anybody the whole story because I could never get my own head around it. Never even to a therapist. I've just kind of done the Cliff Notes because I just couldn't. It was so weird. I could never understand it, and I didn't understand. It was just so. It was so odd. So with this guy, I don't know. I keep jumping all over the place. Sorry, but right afterwards,
it's okay.
I knew that it was really bad because I couldn't stop crying for days afterwards, which is just not me. I'm very much like, you know,
Yeah.
been through a lot of stuff, but I'm very good at just doing the British thing, you know, like probably socks don't carry on, like. But
Yeah.
I couldn't stop, and I asked if I was feeling traumatized, and then he sent me a text saying he'd had a great time and when could we do it again, and I was so confused.
God.
Yeah, and I was like, you had a good time? How? You know. And then I thought, God, maybe I'm mad. Like maybe I'm completely mad, and I'm the one that's got this really confused. So I said, well, will you meet me for coffee? And when I went to meet him for coffee, we sat down, and I said, you know, I just want to talk about this like adults because I really want to understand. I genuinely want to understand how two people could have been in the exact same experience, and only you and I know all the things that happened because we were the only two who did, you know, experience the whole thing. And how is it that your takeaway was that you had a great time and you want to do it again, but how is my takeaway that I've been crying for 3 days? I don't understand. And I said, for me, I feel like you really disrespected me. And he immediately stood up and he said, this is where I leave. And I was like, well, please don't leave. Please don't leave. I'm not angry. I'm not angry. I just want to understand what happened. And then he said, you never said the word no. So this isn't an issue of consent. And I sat there and I thought, gosh, did I not say no? I know I said I don't want to, but I never said, maybe I genuinely didn't say no. It was so wild. And I said, please sit down, please sit down. And then because, you know, this industry, it's a small world and it's wild how massive LA and how massive, you know, London and the film and TV industry feels at times, but it's really small. People know each other, people talk. And this guy thinks that he is very well known. And so that was another part of this whole thing that was like another element of how do I navigate this? Because he is known very well in his field and in the film and TV industry. So I was trying to play it in a way that I didn't want to damage the amount of effort I'd put into all the relationships I'd built and the networking I'd done. And I,
of course,
was scared, which wrongly now I see years later, but I was really scared that he could ruin my reputation, especially in Malibu, where I have wonderful relationships and connections, business and personal, and I was really terrified. And I thought, you know, if this person who's very successful says something about me, who are they going to believe? And I made nice. I said, you know, we finished our coffees and we parted ways. But my God, I was just so, like, it threw me then. I really then was struggling. And because I knew in the moment, maybe he was right. I never fought him off. I never said no. I never shouted. I never got, you know, there was no violence. So how could I then call that rape? Because in my head, it wasn't rape. Because there was no struggle. Yeah. So this was where I started to get really like, okay, this is serious. I know I'm in a really bad way. And after that coffee, I was in a really bad way. And I'd already had some things that had happened in my life separate from that. And I spiraled. I was really, really, really struggling and eventually went to get help. I thought I don't recognize the inside of my head. And it was this thing that had happened that had really pushed me over, and I went to go and see a psychiatrist, and I was like, I think I'm losing it. And we had a session. At the end of the session, she said, if I got a textbook out now and I had a class of students and I described what you've told me about your symptoms, and we looked at the textbook, you have every symptom of PTSD. She said, you have PTSD. And this is what's happened is you've had so many traumatic events so close together that your brain literally can't process them anymore. And so your body is sort of, you're doing what you have to do to survive. And then past that, your things are struggling. So, okay, that made sense. Then around that time, a friend of mine who's a filmmaker called me and said that she was really bored and that she had nothing to do and liked my writing and would I write her something to film. And I was like, oh, love no, that. I've got, I love that. I was like, no, I can't. I don't have the bandwidth, you know. And then she was like, come on, what's on your mind? And I was like, oh, geez, well, consent is on my mind. She goes, write me something about consent. And I thought, I don't want to write something about rape because this still doesn't feel like rape, even though I didn't want it to happen. I knew I did not give out the physical cues for that I want this to happen. I know I didn't look comfortable, but it still didn't feel like rape because to me. So I said, I don't want to write something that looks like rape. So we talked on the phone a long time and I said, what if we use food? And she was like, I like that. So we talked about how we could use food and that way people wouldn't be triggered, because I can't watch rape. I can't, like I find it really, really, really troubling when I see a scene when it's clearly that. I didn't want to do that to anybody else. And I knew I couldn't either. I wasn't ready, you know? So we wrote this thing about spaghetti and about a girl. So the story of the short film is that a girl is hanging out with a guy and goes for dinner and she doesn't really eat very much at dinner because it's like a first date. So she's still hungry. So the guy invites her back to his house for a snack. And when she gets there, he starts making a huge pot of spaghetti. And she's like, well, this is a full meal and I just wanted a snack. He's like, you're like, a bag of crisps? And she's like, yeah, like a bag of crisps. And then he explains to her that when you tell a boy you're hungry and the guy gets really hungry too, he's in pain if he doesn't get to eat. So I was like, all right. She feels bad. She's like, maybe I'm being silly. I guess I'll eat. I'll try a bit. And then anyway, he makes the full meal and she goes silent and eats it. And then afterwards, neither of them know what's happened. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to create a story that didn't say either way what it was, because I thought, well, if you can watch it and I leave for the audience to have to figure it out, maybe that's going to be more powerful. So, I ended up making it in England because I was working with an attorney that was a very bad person, and I nearly got deported. So that's the only reason I was in England, which was in the end.
Oh my God, no way.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I found out
That's
the
so
last
funny.
minute. I had 3 days to leave the country before, so I didn't get deported, so that I could come back. Yeah. So that was a
Bloody
gift.
hell.
It didn't feel like it at the time, but it was such a gift because I came back and the first weekend there, my best friend here was like, you need to meet this guy, Dan Berman. Like, as soon as you get there, just email him. And I was like, okay. So I emailed and he was hiring directors for a table read. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had
That's
the script.
awesome.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I don't want to sit here and twiddle my thumbs while I wait to go back to America. We have to make this. And he agreed. And it was his idea to do the full female crew. So it all came from that.
Wow.
Dan is an absolute. Dan, actually, I don't know if you've seen, I released a music video about my experience with a toxic relationship, and I reached out to Dan and said, I'm doing this music video. I would feel really comfortable with you playing this person. And he was incredible, like all day. He made me laugh. He was, every time I was a bit on edge, he was always checking I wasn't triggered by anything. Just like there's a bit in the music video where like there's a bit of like violence, and he was just the most sensitive guy. And I just remember being like, everything about you is just well done. Like, because when he texted me and he was like, I don't know if you're interested, I need a girl to be this Zumba instructor for this short film that I'm doing. And I literally was like, okay. And he was like, this is the concept. And I was like, well, you know me far too well. You know I'm in. What time have I got to be there? And he's so just brilliant with any sort of sensitive subject.
Oh,
like,
this
just
yeah,
brilliant.
Definitely. I got so lucky. And I think a lot of times I think things don't happen by accident. And, you know, I've been really lucky in the way that this has been able to be my response. And that the right people showed up, and that I have now had the support, and I've had the therapy, and I'm a lot better. But Dan was incredible. And I remember when we did the rehearsal the night before, so Sarah Day directed, and she is a force. Yeah. She's phenomenal. And she had Dan and I, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because it was really intense, but she had Dan and I do this exercise. I think it was the night before we filmed, or a couple of nights before we filmed. And she explained what she was going to do, and because she really wanted us both to feel the feeling of not being able to get away. And she wanted to see what that would do to the characters. Because obviously in the film, we're just sitting at a table opposite each other. There is no physical contact in the film. You never see us touch. But she wanted to make sure that this was going on underneath. And so she told me I was going to walk into a room and my job was to get away from Dan. That was to sit next to him, and then my job was to get away. And then she separately told Dan that I was going to come into a room and sit next to him, and his job was to make sure I couldn't leave. And oh my gosh, like I came in and sat down and thinking, I work out, I'm strong, I can, whatever.
I got this.
And I sat next to him on the couch, and then I went to leave. And he pulled me onto his lap and he wouldn't let me off. And then I managed to stand up and he grabbed me and he wouldn't let me out, which was his assignment.
Yeah.
And he obviously overpowered me as a guy, and Sarah called cut, and I just like lost it. It was like it wasn't Dan, it wasn't Sarah, it was just, that was the thing that I hadn't let go of. And
Yeah.
Dan just held me and was like, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe.
Oh.
And it was like, because I hadn't struggled in the moment, it was like, it was silent. And I guess because you hold on to things in your body. But yeah, he was amazing and made the whole thing so safe. I got so lucky. I got so lucky with every single person that worked on that film was an absolute gem. And just, it was so, I was so lucky. I'm so grateful. It was amazing. Amazing.
Oh, wow.
It was Spaghetti that when I came and saw it at the BFI, didn't I? There was a big...
Yeah.
Was at the BFI.
Not a BFI,
No,
the BAFTA.
It was a BAFTA.
Yeah,
BAFTA.
that's what you came to. Yeah. That was,
It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, and that only happened because we were trying to choose venues to screen at. And Dan at one point went, because I was thinking about all these really cool venues, and Dan goes, McBain, like, chill out. You're not getting this to, like, BAFTA or something. And I was like, oh, BAFTA. Why did I think about BAFTA?
It was so good because I took my sister as my plus one, and I remember telling her, because she again is a survivor, and I was like, so this is what the short film's about. I was like, I've only seen 40 seconds of it with the clip in that I was involved in with the gym aspect, where you are having a conversation with your friend about what had happened. Why did you eat spaghetti? Did you even want to? That whole thing. And I remember telling Kel, I was just like, this is such an interesting concept because it feels like it shouldn't be this hard to explain consent, but it feels like it is hard to explain consent. And at the end of the day, whether you said no or not, you didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And you know, like people know if someone doesn't want to do whatever. Like, you know, if you go out for dinner with your friend and they're not really that hungry, you know, even if they don't go, no, I'm not hungry. Like, so it's such an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
Thank you. And it became really important to me, and still feels really important to teach this. And so things got put on hold because of, you know, the pandemic and everything. But it feels really important to me to be able to teach, because I didn't know about fight, flight, or freeze. I knew about fight or flight, but I only heard about freeze at the night at BAFTA. We had a psychiatrist on the panel, and she started explaining, because someone said, well, why wouldn't she have just left? Or why wouldn't she have just said something? And the psychiatrist was like, because it's fight, flight, or freeze. And she went into freeze. And I was like on the panel with the whole audience, and I was like about to lose it. I was like, oh my God, I froze. Holy shit, that's what it was. That's what happened.
Wow.
And I didn't know. And so now it feels really important to teach that, to recognize, because I think now, when I freeze now, not in those situations, but in other situations, when I find myself freezing, it's like a little voice goes off and goes, oh, you're freezing. And then it's like, okay, so, and then I calm down, or then I can start having different thought processes. But in the moment, I wish I'd known. And how do you teach people to recognize when they're with someone, even if that person might be naked, that they don't want to do it anymore?
Yeah, they don't want to go any further.
Yeah. And I know that.
And it's teaching, like, that whole thing of you can stop at any point.
Literally
like, again,
any
that
point.
beautiful moment in Spaghetti when he said, the actor says about, oh, but if you tell a guy that you want spaghetti and then you don't eat it, it's painful for them. It was such an interesting moment, because I was like, that is the guilt that sometimes people feel. Yeah. And being guilted into consent isn't consent.
And blue balls
that's still not a yes.
Isn't a thing. That's not a medical phenomenon. And we all grow up as women thinking blue balls is a thing. And are we the first to give someone blue balls?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, afterwards, not long afterwards, and this is another thing that I'm always like, things are just so like, the way things happen, it's kind of amazing. But I was in a mess after that. Like, just really, like, went a bit reckless too. Because I think it made me feel like I wasn't worth looking after. Like, I was just like, I don't know why that happened, but I just felt like I don't deserve to take care of myself. I'm like, I felt really worthless after. Like, I was just this nothing. And I'd gone out with some friends, and at the beginning of the night, I'd said to them, will you watch for me, because I want to drink until I can't feel anything. And it was I haven't done that many times, but I was like, I can't take this, I just want to feel numb.
Yeah.
And my friends were like, I mean, we've always got your back, but like, you know, go easy type thing. I did not go easy.
Yeah.
I drank so much, and I achieved my goal of I couldn't feel the pain. I couldn't feel that awful feeling of what this thing had done to me. And on the way home, oh my God, I had the spins. I was in an Uber with a really lovely good friend of mine. And I said to him, I got the spins. Either I'm going to throw up or I need to get in the water and sober up. And so we're both pretty hammered. And so we got the Uber to pull over at Venice Pier. And, oh my God, I must have guardian angels. But we got out of the Uber and I knew my friend really well. I got into my underwear and got into the ocean at like 3:00 in the morning, hammered.
Oh gosh.
The stupidest decision. And I was there in my underwear, which happened to be bra and thong. But I didn't think it, like, I was like, oh, I'm with my friend, we're fine. So then we like in the water, he's like going to catch me against the waves. And in that, he's like, oh, maybe Mary's into me. Anyway, I was already going to have to crash at his house. So we got back to his house, and the water here might be hot in LA. The water is freezing. Like, this is not warm water. So we were freezing, and we got back to his house, and I'm like, I'm absolutely freezing. I have to warm up. Can I get in the shower? So he's taking all these cues as like, oh, she was just in her underwear.
Yeah.
Now she wants to get in the shower. So I'm like hammered, drunk, slightly sober from the water, naked in the shower. And he joins me in the shower, also naked. And I don't know like what happened, but I finally, this teeny tiny little voice came out, and I was like, I don't want to. And he went, what? And I was like, I don't want to. And he was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I read it wrong. And he like grabbed a towel, wrapped it around him, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I read the signals wrong. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry. And he's like, don't be sorry. And then he's like, what do you need? And I was like, may I have some pajamas? And he got me pajamas, and then I got dressed, and he was like, oh, I'm really sorry. And then he's like, but also I'm really horny, so I'm just gonna go smoke a joint and calm down. And then he was like, he goes,
brilliant.
He goes, I can sleep on the couch downstairs, or I can sleep on the floor in here. And I was like, don't be silly, like, you can sleep up here, but I don't want to do anything. Is that all right? And he's like, of course it's all right, like, of course it's all right. Yeah. And then he went off and smoked a joint, and I was laying there, and I was like, oh my God, I just said no and someone listened. And it was like, this power that had been had over me by all these experiences, because the thing that made me write Spaghetti was not the first time this had happened.
Yeah.
But it lifted, and then he came to bed, we slept, nothing happened, and in the morning we woke up, and I just kept going, we didn't have sex. We didn't have sex. He was like, all right, keep shouting that. Let my roommates hear. And I was like, no, we didn't have sex. I'm so happy. And he was like, this is not usually the reaction that you want to wake up to. He's like, but I get it. And I was like, honestly, I can't even tell you. I was like, I'm so excited. You have no idea. I said no and you listened. And he was like, of course I listened. Like, why wouldn't I listen? Yeah, it was like, that moment then changed everything, because I was like, there are really good guys out there, and there are people that I was naked and quietly whispered, I don't want to do anything, and he was immediately. So it was like that spell of like, we're powerless. Yeah, it was amazing.
It kind of puts
But that
like,
should be
faith
the
back in it.
response anyway, shouldn't it? That should be the, like, exactly what he did. Oh my God, okay, I'm sorry, what do you need? Like, I'll get out, I'll sleep down. Like, that should just be a normal response anyway, and it's sickening that it isn't always.
It is quite sad that we've had the reaction of going like, oh my God, what a sweetie. No, we should go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Quite
obviously.
right. He could not understand why I was so, like, and then I called one of our friends. I FaceTimed her, and I was like, mate, I have to tell you what happened. And she knows all my history, and I told her. And then, like, my other friend was there, and he was like, yeah, I just did what a normal dude would do. And, like, I'm really sorry that you guys have to be this excited about it. But, yeah. And so since then, it's become any chance I get. It's like, okay, how can we make a difference? I'd love for this film to get out there more. I really need to do better with publicity on this and, you know, getting it out there. But I'm trusting that things will, you know, I'm hoping to keep working on sex education. I have been working with someone now to write a textbook. But, you know, so things will come through. But, yeah, it's good to talk about this again. I haven't really spoken about it for a while, so this is lovely.
Because didn't spaghetti get put on aeroplanes or something? Where did it go?
Yeah, it was on all the Virgin Atlantic. Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Incredible.
Yes.
I love
it was
that.
Amazing.
Yeah. She's like, I need to push it more. It's there.
But like, what I loved about it was, although it's a serious subject, it's also really funny.
Yeah.
And it's also really like real. And I just remember watching it and being like, this should be shown in schools. This should be spoken about. This is brilliant.
That's what I want.
It's such a simple way of explaining something that's so complicated.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be complicated, but it is.
Yeah, and that's what has felt so important to me. I don't think that we have to deal with heavy subjects in a heavy way all the time. And actually, I think that sometimes when you deal with a dark or difficult or heavy thing in a dark and difficult and heavy way, it makes people shut off because it's really hard. And I find, you know, I watched a film with Carey Mulligan. Of course, now I'm forgetting what it's called. It will come back to me in a minute. But she, in the film, she ends up, there's a really, the promising young woman or something like that. I think I've totally butchered that title.
Yes, with Bo Burnham in it.
Yeah. Is that what it's called? Promising Young Woman?
Is it Promising? I think it's Promising Young Woman.
Something like that.
I mean, I'm going to Google it because, yeah. Bloody brilliant film.
Brilliant. But I had no idea what it was about, and I was on a flight, and when a scene of that type comes on, I started having a panic attack, so I was like, I wasn't ready to watch this. So in my head, I was like, well, I want this to be able to be watched, because I'll even see, like, friends with little kids going, all right, give Mary a kiss goodbye. And I'm like, no, you don't have to. Like, if you want to give me a hug goodbye, that's fine, but we can just wave. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's taught from such a young age of like, go on, give your uncle a kiss. You're like, I don't want to. And you shouldn't have to. You should never have to hug or kiss.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, or go and eat that, finish your dinner. Or the force, everything is like forced. No, I don't want to. Okay. Like, we should be teaching that. So I wanted to make a film that you could watch. I mean, a 6-year-old could watch this film and think it's about dinner. But then, you know, then you get to older and you realise the pepper grinder means something else and all the things mean something else. And it's like,
I was just remembering the very oversized pepper grinder that was used. Honestly, Farrah, it's freaking hilarious. And like, it's Dan, like, I love Dan so much, and this is so not him. Like, this character he's playing is so the opposite of Dan, and he just had this massive pepper grinder, and I just remember being like,
they just slowly doing this in my face. So I was like, oh God. And we had this huge thing of cheese, and he like slaps the cheese. I mean, the whole thing, it's like gross but funny, so you can watch it and not be triggered. But it was funny because after, you know, a few of my guy friends had seen it, they were calling me and they were like, oh shit, I've done it, I've done that to someone, I had no idea, like, what do I do? And and I think a lot of people don't realize, because I think as women, the smaller we are, the more celebrated we are, right? Like, the physically smaller, the more we fit in, the more we go along with stuff. If men make us
opinions we have.
Yes, we're celebrated. Well done. Like, good woman yourself. But it's like, so it's like, and also I think the other thing that's drilled into us from way back, like, you know, you see movies where people would have a dance card and the dance card would get filled, and you had to be grateful when your dance card got filled. And I think even that is stuck in us, that we should be grateful when a man wants us or when we're just wanted. Not true. And if you say no to a guy and he gets annoyed, because it always have that, I just want to be liked, just like me, love me, want me. And it's like, no, if you say no to a guy and he gets annoyed, that is not someone you want to be intimate with.
He's not for you.
Jog on.
Absolutely not.
Ugh.
Because if he's annoyed now, trust me, he's not going to treat you well once you've had sex. He's going to be the guy that's not going to call you back, and you will feel 3 times as crap as you do right now just for saying
Absolutely.
no. So all these
Also,
things.
he doesn't give a shit about your feelings.
Yes.
He's literally expressing how he doesn't care about your feelings in that moment.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
No, walk away from that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not going to magically change once you've been naked and intimate. It's not going to change. So how can you in a very digestible way like explain all this stuff and teach, and like I wish I'd known all this earlier. But even women my age, like we're still and older, it's not just women, but how do we teach people that you have dominion over yourself? How can we teach it? I didn't love myself at all. I didn't even like myself. It's only a few months ago, for the first time ever, I heard myself say to someone, I love myself. And I was like, oh my God, I got to the point. I was like,
I love that.
Yeah, and it's taken a lot of work. It's taken this last year of a lot of time by myself since a big breakup last summer to really like get to know myself and actually be like, yeah, I'm massively flawed, but we all are. And like,
but we all, that's what makes us
we are,
perfect in our own way.
Yeah.
It's a concoction of everything that makes you who you are. Like,
totally.
It's kind of like what you were saying with the whole like consent thing, like when it's not something we've all had friends when they go, oh, I didn't want to sleep with him, so I just like gave him a pity hand job or something like that. And
give him a blowjob. There's still sex.
Okay, yeah, and you just go, that's still not consent, and why do you feel like you have to give a part of you to this person for them to like you?
Keep them interested so that they'll come back.
No, and every time you do it, it's kind of like taking a little bit of your soul and your self-esteem because you're going, all I am worth is the sexual favor that I can give you that society tells me is why I am here.
Yes.
Like, I'm so not for this. And it's really hard because, like, as a woman, we shouldn't have these massive opinions and talk about it because that's not what we're meant to do.
Yeah, be
And it's
small.
like, no.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm here for.
No.
We have to change it. And it's all conversations like this that really help.
Yeah.
I wish my sex education, I seem to remember, was don't be a prick tease. And if you ever lead a guy down the garden path, you better let him in the gate because,
Yeah.
And it's like, no. Yeah, all these things. And I think that coming back to the self-love, this is where consent is so complicated to teach because it's not just yes or no. Because I didn't stand up for myself because I didn't care enough about myself. I didn't love myself. I had massive body issues, huge complexes about being liked, about being wanted. That all plays into whether you can confidently walk away or say no. So that's what's got to be taught. Like it's such a holistic thing. Consent is nothing. It's not yes or no. It's like it's so much more than that. So how can you start teaching all of that? Like, if you walk away and the guy's mad, and even if he tells his friends, and you're a prude or you're, what's the word that we use in England?
Frigid.
Yes. Very frigid.
The frigid tease.
Yeah, frigid tease.
Fuck's sake.
Yes, because when you don't want it, sex is so shit. Like, it's not like anyone's having a good time. Like,
no one's having fun here.
No.
Yeah.
And there's many years in which you can have good sexual experiences. And so sod it. Like, so all of this has to be taught, I think, as part of sex education. It's not just what we did, which was like sketch drawings of ovaries. Like, you're not really thinking about that in the moment.
Yeah.
No.
Literally, like, the only things I remember learning about sex was it makes a baby.
Yeah, don't do
Done.
it.
Literally, don't do it.
Yeah.
I remember, but just going back to kind of the way the guy handled you sitting down and saying, this is how I feel, says to me that he also knows that what he did wasn't exactly right, because if he hadn't had those thoughts, he would have probably gone, oh my God, what do you mean? Are you okay? I'm so sorry you felt that way.
Yeah.
But the defensiveness goes...
Immediately.
Yeah, and you just go, hold on, I'm now apologising to you and trying to calm you down even though I feel like shit.
Oh,
Hold
that's
on.
awful.
That's not...
What
Yeah.
was his
so
reaction when you said, like, I've been crying for 3 days, before he wanted to sort of leave? What
Oh,
or was he just a little bit like,
no, he was very helpful in that he told me I was really messed up and I needed to get some help.
oh,
It's like-
wow, great.
He was
Lovely
like, I
person.
think you're really, you're really screwed up, and I think you really need to speak to someone and get some help. And I was like, oh, maybe he's right, which is like so annoying. And now I'd
Yeah.
be like, you know what? Why don't you go and
Yeah,
get
you.
some
You
help?
get some
You
help.
need to help, my love.
I think I'm in therapy and I love it, and I think you should like have a little self-reflection. And he has a daughter as well, and I'm just like, all these things. It's like from a previous marriage, I think. But yeah, and like I saw him once after this, and it was about maybe a year and a half ago, and I was in Malibu, and I'd gone to get a smoothie and do the whole Malibu thing. I was going to go for a walk on the beach, and I left the smoothie shop, and I saw him out the corner of my eye, and it was so weird. I was standing in front of this big bush, and my legs just went from under me, and I was in this flipping bush holding my smoothie, just like, oh my god, please don't.
Gosh.
Yeah, it was awful. I was like, please don't see me. Yeah, I had no idea I'd still have such a physical reaction to seeing him, and then
Which is another kind of sign of PTSD.
Yeah.
yeah, because intellectually,
God, babe.
I probably could have said hello, but my body, my legs just went, and there I am in a bush, like trying to not spill this smoothie, and got in the car and called Dan, and just had a giant panic attack. Couldn't breathe. I was like, I seen him. And he taught me this really cool thing. He had me pretend birthday candles were in front of me, and I was blowing out birthday candles. And it was this really clever way of getting my breathing to slow down.
Oh, that's really clever.
Yeah.
That is clever.
Oh, I like that.
Like visualizing it, and then obviously
Yeah.
helps you.
It was so helpful, and I calmed down, and then I was like, okay, maybe I never have to see him again. Maybe that was the one time he was put in front of me, and I have never seen him since. And I've been in that part of town loads. But yeah, your body holds on to this stuff. One thing I found really, really helpful, I discovered during the pandemic, was this thing. It's called The Work. I hope I've got this right.
Okay.
By Taryn Tomy, and I know I've said her name wrong too, probably. I mean, no, not The Work. The Class by Taryn Tomy, and it is quite out there and weird, but it helped so much because I think we physically hold on to trauma. You have to physically get it out, and this the class is where she does this stuff. It's all like sound with your movement, with your body movement. And you really sound out things and move. And I did one day, like spent 3 hours just doing, they're all online, and you can do live classes or online. But I spent 3 hours one day just doing them and crying and crying and crying. And I felt so much release from everything I'd been holding on. So I keep telling women about, like, do the class, like, even if you just do like the 1 month intro or whatever, just do it, because it's like, or something similar that like works out, that physically works out the trauma.
Yeah, man, look at that.
Yeah, it's weird. You feel like a bit of a twat doing it, but like,
Do it alone.
That's fine. I feel like a twat most days. It's absolutely fine.
yeah.
So what's next for Spaghetti? What's happening with Mary? How is life?
Yeah, life's interesting. Next for me is I'm writing a book. So I'm writing a collection of all the stories and things, because I just kept getting told you should write a book because so many things have happened. So I'm writing a book about that, and also advice and life hacks and funny things. So it's slowly coming together. And then as far as Spaghetti is concerned, things have just been so upside down because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I have been talking with some students from the school that I was working with in London before, and a couple of the senior prefects want to carry on. So I'm talking with them again now. Yeah, now that term is starting, because I need to have my goal with this. My dream is to put a team together, because this is bigger than I can do. So been working with one other lady who's got 5 children, all in different ages of school, and so different parts of sex education. So she's got real vested interest in making a difference with that, and then working with these students. So hopefully now that I think things really are starting to get back to normal as far as school and all the rest of it, the goal is to now keep working and start to put together a textbook and
Wow.
start working
incredible.
at sex
That's so
education.
exciting.
Yeah.
It's huge. It will make such a difference.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We said this about the domestic abuse in school. It was never talked about. You didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about it.
No,
so that's
same.
what it needs to all be taught at such a young age, and kids to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Including consent. So it's all super important, I think, to get it in schools.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like what you said, Mary, like if you go in with a hard subject, with a hard kind of way of doing it, of going, this is really important and this is really serious, you lose people. People switch off. People don't connect with it.
Yeah.
Or people are triggered and go the opposite way.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you can open up a conversation about it, when you can be a bit more like, not tongue in cheek, that's the wrong kind of vibe, but have someone go like, well, what does that mean? But I don't know. I
Yeah.
think that meant this. And it's a really interesting way because people do connect with that more. And then you'll open up conversations to see why people say this way or that way. And it's just bloody brilliant. Like, I fully love it. Like, I would watch it again in a heartbeat, just like I
Thank
watch like
you.
bloody Big Bang Theory all the time.
Yeah.
So can people find Spaghetti? Is it actually out and available?
It's on YouTube. And
YouTube
it's
people.
you just search spaghetti silence is not consent. And I would love it to really get out there. Like I say, I need to get, I just want to keep getting it shared so that we can just get more and more and more eyes on it, because I think too, when you're told the answer to something, it will stay with you for a minute. But when you work out the answer yourself of something, I think it stays with you a lot longer. And so I think that's why this is so effective. And I'm so grateful for Lizzie Gordon, who was the one who called me and asked me to write something and help me with this concept. And I mean, honestly, everybody who worked on it, it was the best team. So definitely watch it. And I will keep working. I'll keep doing things. I mean, I feel like the last 2.5, where are we now? 2.5 years have been,
Bit weird.
a bit
On
weird.
a strange side.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but I'll get back to it now. And now travel's opening up, and Zoom is so helpful and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, things will move.
That's amazing.
It's incredible, honestly. Thank you for what you're doing.
Oh,
We'll put a little
thank
clip
you.
of Spaghetti onto our Instagram and stuff. So if you guys want to, listeners, if you want to go check it out, please do, because it's just bloody brilliant. And there's a really cool Zumba instructor in it.
Amazing
Like, a
Zumba
good
instructor.
4 seconds you see Nat Gray.
It's the best 4 seconds.
Just brilliant, just so much fun. But Mary, honestly, thank you so much for talking to us and
Yeah,
taking the
thank
time
you.
in your really busy schedule. Thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you, and thank you for waiting this morning. Thank you.
No,
don't be silly.
Keep us updated with everything, and if there's
Yes.
anything, I mean, I don't know if we can, but if there's anything we can help with, like, please let us know.
absolutely.
Please get in touch, and we're there.
Thank
And
you.
let us know when the
honestly,
book's out and we will buy it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I hope to have a first rough draft by Christmas, and then a proper first draft by Easter. That's the goal. So
Nice.
That's exciting.
this has been lovely. Thank you so much for inviting me
Congratulations.
on.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you,
Take
honestly.
care.
And have a great rest of your day.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah. Take care. Speak soon. Bye.
And that was Mary McBain. Yay!
Thank you so much. Round of applause.
Isn't she a dream?
Incredible.
Ugh.
I think I just kind of sat in silence for most of it. I know I'm going to listen to it back and be like, you never spoke, but I was
you even in
so, was I there?
Was you there?
She's so intriguing and so inspiring, and
Oh my God,
I
absolutely.
love what she's doing.
And
It's
she's so
amazing.
positive. Like, again, that's something I love about so many guests we have. Like, go through trauma, they go through so much shit, and yet come out like shining and this breath of fresh air,
and
like,
helping others.
oh God, like
Yeah.
even the fact like making something so incredible out of such a trauma is so brave and so strong. And I loved, like, when I was filming it, everyone there was a woman apart from Dan, and literally like it was incredible. Like the atmosphere in the room was just love.
Yeah.
And like I had no idea what Mary's been through. I had no idea. I kind of assumed something, because
Yeah.
obviously it's quite a rough subject, but I had no idea, because it's kind of what she was saying, like there's no point like making something that is so hard hitting even worse. Like we
Yeah.
might as well bring some positivity out of it. Might as well make it into something to help us.
Approach it in another way. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not as scary to watch or listen to. That's
absolutely.
absolutely what
'Cause
we're trying to
that
do
is,
as well.
yeah, like when she said, like, because people do switch off. Like,
Yeah.
the second, like, I tell people about this podcast, you do watch a few people kind of glaze over and go, oh, that sounds far too serious for me.
Yeah.
I actually had someone tell me, like, weeks ago, they're like, oh, I tried to listen to it, but it made my, like, partner feel a bit uncomfortable. And I was just like, okay, sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, okay, like, it shouldn't be a conversation that's uncomfortable. And,
Yeah.
like, something about this podcast, when we talk about it, and, like, I tell people, I'm like, it is just two mates kind of, we rip each other quite a bit, and we chat, and we have a bit of banter, and
Yeah.
we try and talk about this horrible subject, but show that it isn't
Yeah.
something that can define you.
It's like
something
it's the journey
that's happened.
afterwards as well. It's
Yes.
the healing process. That's,
Yeah.
you know, it never quite leaves you, and that's something you just have
Absolutely.
to come to terms with, and you just got to heal and grow from it.
Yeah.
And like exactly what Mary's doing, trying to help other people and bring awareness to
Yeah.
it. That shouldn't be an uncomfortable situation
No,
at all. But
no. She's a ledge. Love her.
yeah, thank
thank
you
you,
so
Mary.
much. Thank you.
And we're going to put a link on... Oh, I'll work out how to put it on Acast. I'm sure there's a way. I'll Google it.
We'll Google
A link to Spaghetti for you guys to check out. But if I can't manage to do that, because, you know, technophobe, go onto our Instagram. I'll put a link on there.
Yeah.
And honestly, watch it because it is bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
And there's a really funny Zumba instructor. Shining moment.
That's your claim. It's a claim,
Claim to fame. No, my claim to fame is an extra in Harry Potter, and no one's taken that away from me. That's literally like, if I win like a Grammy or like whatever, I will literally still be like, the highlight of my career was extra number 7,1200 million in Harry Potter.
Are you being serious right now? Why do I not know this?
Do you not know that I was in Harry Potter?
No.
Fuck off. I basically tell everyone this. Yeah, did you know?
No, probably because when we first met, I was like, I don't like Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah, you're one of them.
Yeah. I'm a Buffy the Vampire Slayer girl. Leave me alone.
But then, like, but how would you not then like Harry Potter? Because it's on the same
No.
like
It's
nerd, geek, magical world.
Stranger
era.
Things, The Walking Dead,
Babe,
and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's me. But Harry Potter, I'm going to get so much hate now. I've just outed myself.
Right, no, okay. I get it if you're older and you watch Harry Potter's, like, because obviously I watched Harry Potter's when they came out, because I
Yeah.
was like the biggest bookworm, and I
did watch
read
the
all
first
books.
one.
But then, as we got older, like the last ones, oh my babe, like, have you watched them now? Have you watched the final films?
I've seen one.
Oh
I'm
my
not,
God,
I'm not even joking. here.
Farah, we can't be friends anymore.
Is that it? Are you just ending our
Oh,
relationship?
God.
Terminated.
Right. End of podcast. Like the last two films are quite scary, and like, oh my, it's just fucking brilliant.
Although, please tell everyone the other night when we were laid in bed,
What?
and what did you do? And you were you were so angry at me.
Oh my god. So why is Harry Potter such a big part of my life? So there is Potterworld on the internet.
Yeah, that
God.
thing.
I'm getting the pre-gig like vibes and
Yeah.
anxiety now. So online you go on and you like fill in all your details about you as a person, and like the sorting hat puts you into your house. Fucking Farah got Slytherin, which is the house I always wanted to be in, because let's be honest, Draco Malfoy. Hello.
She was
Um,
like, I don't get it. I was like,
fuming.
I don't know what's what. I know there's
Livid.
one called Raven something, and the only reason I know that is
Me and
because
you're gonna fall out.
like I'm actually convinced that like my spirit animal is a raven. So I was like, I'm in that house, and she was like, you're definitely not. So this is how it came around, because I have no clue. And she gave me the dirtiest look when it came up. She was like, I have been trying to retake this test for years, and you just got, you don't even watch it.
I was fuming. The thing is, you were answering the questions, and I was like, "That's a Slytherin answer. Why is she saying that?" Because the reason we took the test is because you were saying like, "Oh, why are we talking about Harry Potter? Fuck knows why."
I don't know.
But we were talking about it, and you were like, "Oh, I'll probably be in that Raven one because I'm a Raven." I was like, "That's not how
it works."
I was like, "It's based on
so
your traits."
Uneducated. I was like, yeah, but my spirit animal's a raven. You was like, shut up. I'm getting it up right now. Like, you have no clue what you're talking about. So.
Oh god. Yeah. So I was in the Harry Potter films.
Can you?
Basically,
okay.
like,
doing what?
so
and now I'm gonna watch them.
Thank you. I mean, blink and you'll miss me, but pause it on the exact moment and you might see me.
Okay. Great.
So my school, my like performing arts college I went to in London, fed into the Harry Potters, like because I needed extras who were at that age. So like my whole year is in Harry Potter.
Oh, that makes so much sense. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like Aiden hates it because when we've watched Harry Potter, I'm like, "There's Amy, there's Sam, there's Gareth." Like,
he's like, shut
"Oh my god,
up.
no." He's literally like, "I don't care," and I'm like, "But you should."
So you were an extra.
Yeah.
Were you given a house then?
Yes.
What were you?
Hufflepuff.
I
I didn't want to be in Hufflepuff
No.
because I really fancied Draco. Draco Malfoy was like my first ever crush. So yeah, I was fuming. I wasn't in Slytherin. But yeah, so you walked into like wardrobe, and the woman was like, "So you're gonna be in Hufflepuff," and I was like, "You are the Sorting Hat, but as a person," and I love it. Yeah, it was. Oh my god, it was so much fun. Like it was. You just sat around all day and got used for like 10 fucking seconds. But
wow.
I had a great time.
That's awesome. I love that.
Mate, honestly, because I remember when I left college, loads of like people in my year like made up character names and put them on their CV to be like, "I was in Harry Potter." Like,
Brilliant.
I was like,
Brilliant.
I was extra number 175, and honestly, you'll never see me, but I was there. I had a wand. I had a cape.
Oh wow! Did you really? Did you have the whole shebang?
Yeah.
Did
you
get
the whole thing?
Did you get to keep it?
No, of course you didn't.
Oh.
Though I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but my flatmate at the time, one of my best friends still, sorry, who I went to the wedding with the other day,
Oh yeah.
he stole a bit of the set.
Yes, that would have been
And
me.
he came home and he was like, "I've got some." I was like, "No way!"
What was it? What did he steal?
Just like a bit of rubble that was on the floor. And he was
Why?
like,
Why are we whispering like they can hear?
I know.
What did he
Literally,
steal?
like Warner Brothers are gonna come knock the door down. He's just stole it. Basically, there's a scene in it where like the castle is falling down. Basically,
Okay.
Spoiler alert, but you should have all seen it because it came out 14 years ago, or whatever, 12 years ago.
Apart from me, everyone listening's watched it, bar me.
Yeah, basically. And like the like castle's crumbling around everyone, and my mate stole a bit of that.
Love it. Love that. Love that line.
So there you go.
Well,
There's an interesting fact about Nat Grey music. There you go, guys.
And my dream is to be. I'll get back to you guys when I've been an extra in The Walking Dead. I'll be a zombie.
I can see that. You wouldn't even need
Yeah.
makeup.
Oh, I walked. Do you know why I'm laughing? Because I know I walked into that. Like, I'd seriously walked. I'd have been mad if you didn't say that. So, God.
Right. Do we have a win of the week?
That you were an extra in Harry Potter. I
was an
mean,
extra in Harry
that's
Potter.
a win. I actually didn't know that. I'm quite
I'm
shocked.
going to live off of it, you know. Thank you so much. It is number 1 on my CV.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Fuck all the other shit I've done.
Just that. That's
shining moment.
I can die happy. Oh, right, on that note, let's go.
Oh,
We can't-
I got to go to a gig. Right. Peace out. A-Town down. Love you all.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
We do apologise if anyone was triggered by any of the dialogue we used today. We are still learning and we are only just beginning to talk about our own experiences. We're aware that trigger warnings are completely different for everybody, so please bear with us. We love you all. We also want to hear your experiences. If there's anything you'd like to share with us, any stories, anything you are happy to discuss on this podcast, you can stay anonymous if you would like. Please send us an email at takebackthebeattour@gmail.com. That's takebackthebeattour@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media at Take Back the Beat. Thanks, guys. We love you all.